Welcome in this Monday morning edition, Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready, Clark Ford Studio here with you today. We had a good bit of football. It's college football, the last college football game of the season. Number 3 from a playoff ranking standpoint. TCU, 13-1. Georgia, 14-0. The number 1 seed, trying to win back-to-back titles. 12.5-point favorite tonight there in Inglewood, I guess is technically where it's at. 6:30 start for that tonight. I will give.
Is that right?
Is what ESPN says, and if so, I give college football a ton of credit because that's a start time you can actually finish the game and not feel dead the next day. That's good. That is if that is true, and then again, that is
Should
what
be
ESPN
over by 10:30.
says. That's good.
Yeah.
That's as opposed to those 7:30 by the time you kick, and you're like, okay, it's 8:30.
So they're kicking
Eastern.
at 6:30.
CFP National Championship presented by AT&T, ESPN, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, Georgia minus 12.5. That's what I got.
Well, good for them.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's a good question.
Because I figure that take a full 4 hours.
It'll be a late game.
College football can't figure it out. Cannot do it. Almost refuse to do it.
They don't want to do it. There's a difference. There's a formula. They can. They don't want to.
That's true. They want 4 hours.
Yeah, TV, money,
I guess.
commercials. Yes. The spectator in the stands is not as important as the spectator on TV anymore.
Oh, that's for sure.
And it's not even close. Ole Miss basketball losing 64-54 to Mississippi State in Starkville on Saturday afternoon. 0-3 now in the SEC. I guess 7 of 9 losses at this point, something like that.
Something like that.
And then they face Auburn at home, 8 o'clock ESPNU on Tuesday night for that one. Before 2 in a row, Mike White returning on Saturday, 12 o'clock SEC Network for that one with the Georgia Bulldogs. So anyway, we'll get into all this coming up today on the show brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. Use the hot case, head on in, ribs, chicken, plenty of different options for you. Take care of your food items, whether it be their daily lunch specials that are great prices or dinner tonight. We were busy, got stuff going on. I've got stuff going on tonight. Blue Sky can help all of us out. Call ahead. They'll have the ribs wrapped up, ready to go. Side items, desserts, and more there with we're with the Oxford Exxon. Again, from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are. Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. Give them a call, 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours, right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. The rest completely up to you. You can shop it around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. Corey wants to be your car guy, wants to be a truck guy. He'll show you what I mean when I say that when you call 662-257-1900.
Oh, so that's the pregame show at 6:30. Is that right?
It has to be.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I assumed I was just giving benefit of the doubt. I was hoping for the best there. But what time is the CFP kickoff? Let's put it in the Google machine, see what it tells us.
It has to be after 7.
Yeah, I mean, I assumed.
There's just no way they're going to do that.
It's just too early.
Well, they just won't do it.
For them.
They just won't do it. ESPN has to have an hour to hype everything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they probably have 15 shows. They got multiple.
Yeah, they've got everybody fooled or something. I mean, even on Sporting News, I just Googled and hit the first link. The 2023 College Football Playoff Championship game will kick off at 7:30 Eastern on Monday.
Well, if it does, then
I mean, I don't know.
I'll tip my cap.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, no, I said no. It's the pregame show is at 6 and kicks at 6:30.
Okay, I'll tip my cap. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't think they're capable.
What'd you pick?
Georgia to cover. I think it's a blowout.
Do you?
Yep. I think Georgia got their test.
TCU got its moment in the sun.
TCU had, 2 pick sixes? Michigan played really poorly, and it was still super tight. I just don't think they can do – I don't think they can do that with Georgia. It kind of feels like Georgia played their – Georgia played with fire, survived it.
Now, I do think
now
TCU
they'll go do
can
their thing.
score.
Yeah. But everybody scores.
We're again, when we talked about with Jeffrey on Thursday, we've overrated a little bit Georgia's defense this season. But yeah, probably so. I mean, I picked Georgia too. I'd like for it to be a close game. What's it going to take for you to be up and watching in the second half?
Oof.
How close?
The odds are just infinitesimally low.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because you don't care is not the right word, but there's not an outcome that you're like, oh, wow, this is really interesting.
No.
Is that
There's no outcome that does anything for me one way or the other. If I'm just being completely honest. I realized at some point during the bowl season that I had my fill of college football for a while. I know that's sacrilegious to say that here, but I'm just being honest.
who will you find yourself pulling for?
I can go either way. I don't know. I mean, look, I don't harbor some ill will towards Georgia the way that a lot of people do. I like Kirby Smart. I like some people inside that program. I like what they've done. I think it's interesting to watch a dynasty get started. I'm curious to see how long that dynasty goes, because I don't think that Kirby Smart is like Nick Saban, where he'll do this forever. I think there's a walkaway for him. And then for TCU, I mean, it's Cinderella to a degree. I mean, you look at where they were just a couple of years ago and where they are today. It's remarkable. They were preseason picked, what, 5th, 6th, 7th in their conference. It would be a fun story, TCU, I guess. So in many ways, if it's close late, I'm probably cheering for TCU just because of the whole upset part of it. But I don't know. I don't have any strong feelings about it.
So what you can get today was mentioned here, and a little bit of maybe this has been a change, but for sure a change as far as the actual lineup here. ESPN will do your main telecast as always. ESPN2 is going to go with the Field Pass, which is kind of like the Coaches Show, except they're doing it with the Pat McAfee Show. Is how they're doing that. There are not coaches involved this year breaking down film, and Pat McAfee essentially has his own channel for his own thing associated with this game. They're doing a Skycast as always. That's ESPN News. They did their command center with all the different feeds in one place. 4K Skycam, if you have that ability, is available, which is always a good one. They've got the All 22, the TCU hometown radio, the Georgia hometown radio. There is a marching band channel. I was not aware of that. Oof. And then the national radio broadcast, if you prefer those announcers versus the actual television announcers, is a channel as well. So those are your viewing options today. Getting rid of the coaches' film room is the biggest negative in that lineup. That can be pretty interesting depending on what coaches and what you see. There's some education there.
Yeah.
And they've gone for entertainment over that.
Tells you that most people didn't do that.
Yeah. Which most people just watched the game.
Right.
Frankly, none of these are going to go like, hey, we're going to go take ratings over the course of this.
It just shows you that the number of people who truly want like the X's and O's and stuff is a really small number. I mean, the hardcore, but you don't make your money off in mainstream media. You don't make your money off the hardcore. You make your money off the middle.
Yeah, sure, of course. So anyway, that's your lineup. Well, I mean, I'll flip through a few of them just for some opinions tomorrow, but I will probably have the main telecast on with the volume very low. Is typically how I watch these games. I don't even know who's calling the game. It's not really anything about them. Just I can watch and figure it out and be fine. I don't necessarily need the extra level of that. The Pat McAfee Manning cast thing does nothing for me at all. I will not flip over there.
No. I'll have the main broadcast on. I'll be doing other things. If the game's really good, it'll pull me in. It'll have to be really good.
The reason, and I don't, TCU
might even go to the gym and run the first half.
TCU would be a really interesting story if they win. It would be cool. There's lots of positives to it, that a team that has nowhere near the overall talent from an overall roster standpoint wins the national title, kind of comes out of nowhere, all that kind of stuff. That, frankly, the sport kind of needs that a little bit for the winner to be to where teams can go into next year going, hey, we could be that. You know, you can get there quickly on a hey, we could do this or we could do that. I guess the thing is, I don't necessarily believe that It's just some indication that everybody can win, though, which is why I'm hesitant. A lot of stuff went right for them, and everybody needs that magical season. I mean, you can get there. I mean, there's been several Ole Miss seasons in the past where I went, well, hey, if I can just start changing a couple plays here and there, I can get you there pretty damn quickly. I mean,
Sure.
that's not hard to do, but it still takes that level of. I mean, they've played 7 one-possession games
and won them
and
all.
lost. The only one they lost was the only one they could have lost.
Right.
It's just hard to replicate that into something else.
Well, they probably wouldn't replicate it if you made them do it again. There were so many of those games that could have gone the other way. I mean, the Baylor game was crazy weird. But it's they're a fun story. I like the quarterback, plays super hard. They very clearly have a strong team chemistry, which I think is super important in today's era of college football. I think
Sure.
it's more important than we're giving it credit for.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm more. I mean, from just a fan standpoint, from a viewer standpoint, I'm much more enamored with watching the NFL than I am college football these days. The college football product to me is too long. It drags. The replay system is bad. The games last too long. Like yesterday, Bengals Ravens went a little long, and I could feel it going long. And I looked up and I went, God, if this were a college football game, they would have just started the fourth quarter.
I wonder if it doesn't hurt college football being as long because most people don't watch full games. There's so many games on versus NFL where you're so time slot oriented that you're just flipping around and you find the fourth quarter of games that you are looking for. You know what I mean? I mean, the viewing experience might be completely different. I don't know. I mean, because I'm more likely to just turn a game on and watch it. That's my way I operate. So it does feel long. But I wonder if most people are just flipping and going, and you've always got another thing, so you flew over there and hang out.
I mean, I'm sure there's a reason that they haven't fixed a problem that people like me think is a problem. They probably would tell me that it's not a problem, that their numbers and their analytics tell them that it's not a problem, that it's a moneymaker. And I'd say, okay, I get it.
Yeah, we're going to get some NFL because I've got a couple thoughts there. So I'm going to avoid doing it right now because we'll do it in a minute. Kyle, thanks for Super Chat as always. Says Ole Miss Rifle, where do they compete? Can fans attend? Have y'all ever been? I've written stories on the Rifle team. I've never been. They compete at the Armory. I think it's technically available for spectators, but there's very few places to stand. I mean, it's not like they're going to put tons of people in there, but I think you could if you wanted to watch one. Yes, I think that is doable behind the glass.
I've never been.
So, but yes, they're always very competitive, and that is where they compete. Let's do it this way because there's no reason in breaking down the minutia of the game. State 64, Ole Miss 54 in Starkville on Saturday. 2 home games, 0-3 in the league. It is of the utmost critical week to avoid the larger conversation, right?
This week,
yes.
Look,
they play 2 home games and then go to Carolina.
I wrote this today in 10 thoughts.
Okay.
It's too early to go there, but
yeah,
before the season, all the talk was this was basically tournament or bust. You had to at least be in the mix for the tournament for it not to be considered a failure. Given what they didn't do in the non-league, for them to make the tournament, just humor me here, they have to go at minimum 11-7 in the league. At just minimum.
Yeah, I think so.
It probably has to go 12-6. Maybe 11-7 if you beat Oklahoma State in Stillwater. Probably 12-6 if you don't. But let's say 11-7 for kicks. That means at this point they have to go 11-4 the rest of the way. If you watch this team and you believe it can go 11-4, okay. I mean, I would disagree with you, but okay. If you are like me and you think, boy, that's a really tall mountain to climb. Yeah, we're really close to having the conversation. I've tried to make myself watch the SEC basketball games so far this year so that I can be conversant on it, much like I did with baseball last year. I watched a good bit of Alabama, Kentucky. I watched a good bit of Florida, Georgia. I had both games going. I watched a good bit of Auburn beating Arkansas on Saturday night. Auburn's a much better team at home than they are on the road so far this year, but Auburn's really talented. Arkansas is really talented. I watched those two teams, and I thought Ole Miss can't beat those teams. I don't think Ole Miss can beat those teams. Now, Ole Miss gets Auburn at home. Kermit's teams, for whatever reason, typically play Bruce Pearl's teams well. For whatever reason, his teams have given Bruce Pearl some fits over the history.
Yeah, at Middle and Ole Miss.
To the point where I think it's in Pearl's head a little bit, and he's almost admitted as much. That being said, if Auburn plays well tomorrow night, Auburn's going to win. And so you get into the next game against Georgia. Ole Miss can beat Georgia, but if Ole Miss doesn't beat Georgia, the conversation has to shift. It has to go to something else where you have to go, okay, well, what's the next step for the program? And before people think I'm calling for someone's job, I'm not. When I say that, I'm saying one of two things has to happen. You either have to start to say, hey, look, we're going to move in another direction at the end of the season, or someone other than Kermit has to become the voice that goes, we're not moving in a different direction, and here's why, and here's what we're doing. Otherwise, and look, this could happen this week. I don't know what kind of crowd's going to be there tomorrow night.
Late start.
But noon on Saturday, going up against the NFL playoffs on a pretty day in Oxford, because I think the temperatures are supposed to be in the upper 50s and supposed to be sunny. I just kind of wondered.
But now we're finding reasons that, come on. Like, well, I mean, if it's a game people want to go to, they're not where that doesn't matter.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But if there's nobody there,
Saturday at 12 is an ideal time to go to a basketball game.
And so if there's less than 6,000 people in the arena.
Yeah. Tomorrow night's tough because, frankly, an 8 o'clock midweek, when not a lot of people live locally in your fan base, that's very complicated.
Sure.
But Saturday at noon is.
If there's not 6,000 people there, something's wrong. Because when you look around in the league over the weekend.
Yeah, sure.
Missouri had a packed house for Vanderbilt. Coleman was crazy.
Yeah, sure, of course.
And it wasn't full of Kentucky fans. It was Alabama fans. Auburn was packed, as it always is. Huge atmosphere for the Arkansas game.
But the relatable ones are Georgia, Missouri. I mean, I'm taking out Final Four contenders.
Florida had a nice crowd.
Yeah.
Missouri's not a Final Four contender.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. First-year coach. Missouri was bad last year. Frankly, you take away their 3 wins against Ole Miss, they don't have any wins.
Yeah.
And so State had a good crowd for Ole Miss.
Yeah. As of this morning, KenPom has the Rebels 78th in the country. They are projecting 15-16 overall, 7-11 in the SEC is where they.
I just don't see how they get there.
They have them. They have Ole Miss losing to Auburn on Tuesday night. They give Ole Miss a 39% chance of beating the Tigers. And then they have them beating Georgia and South Carolina in a row, 66 and 68% on those two games.
Okay.
They have them losing in Fayetteville. They have them losing at home to Missouri, 46% chance of beating Missouri at home. They only give them a 23% chance of winning in Stillwater. They give them a 43% chance of losing in Kentucky. They give them a 45% chance of winning in Nashville and a 43% chance of winning against Georgia in Athens. So if that happened, and this is where this thing's not played on paper because they have them at 7-11. But if that went scratch, they would be 2-4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It'd be 2-9. It's hard to see a 2-9 team then winning some games just because you're 2-9 in the league. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And at some point, the attendance becomes the story. Yeah. And I think
because they have them beating LSU at home on February 25th. But if you're 3-10, that's a hard sell.
But even if you do,
nobody's there.
What's the crowd at February the 25th for a 3-10 team?
Yeah, it's a 7:30 Saturday night tip.
I mean, 3,000 people on Saturday night when you can flip on fill in the blank and they've got a packed house.
And they might have been at baseball all day and we're trying to decide whether they're going to dinner or the basketball game.
Yeah, and I'm going to do this again because there's people that keep doing it, and I understand it's a defense mechanism. I would just rather put the money into baseball.
I don't know, though, that's a legitimate argument from anybody who really wants to have the argument.
No,
like, I mean, we're talking about a very low percentage of people here.
But the people who do it, it's a defense mechanism. There's the two things.
There's no money to put. Like, it's not even the same.
The two things aren't interrelated. There's no reason you can't be competitive in both. Zero. It has nothing to do. Baseball has nothing to do with basketball and vice versa. Nothing. Zip. Literally nothing. It's complete. It's a total. What's it? Red herring. I mean, it's just it's not even a legitimate argument. It's to say, oh well, we just is that when you say that, you're just admitting, hey, we're not any good at it. So I'm just going to say I don't care. It matters. It's an important sport. It has nothing to do with baseball. It doesn't mean baseball matters or doesn't matter.
But here's the thing on this, and this what is relevant, and this what will be relevant, because it's going to take a second. We'll do it after the break. We'll come back. I got one more thought on basketball, then we'll shift to some NFL and some other stuff. But just finishing that part of the conversation real quick, KenPom has them getting to 7 by winning Georgia at home, Carolina away, South Carolina at home, Mississippi State at home, LSU at home, A&M at home. Those are the 7 games that they have them winning at this point. So,
yeah, the only one of those I'd probably put A&M starting to put it together.
Yeah.
By the end of the year, they might be pretty tough.
Yeah. Prime Shrimp, primeshrimp.com, 7 different flavors shipped directly to your door. They take care of dinner for you, including their newest offering, the New Orleans barbecue shrimp, one of my favorites, along with the signature. They go with everything, very versatile options there. They have the full meals in a bag, the garlic herb butter, the French Quarter Alfredo, and more. And now they have their 2-pound bags of individually frozen shrimp, like what's at the grocery store, except a higher quality shrimp from the New Orleans-based company. That's primeshrimp.com. Use code MPW for $20 off your first order and get it directly to your door. Again, primeshrimp.com.
Step into the new year in style. If you haven't made the move already, you really need to experience the difference a quality sock makes. Go to deadsoxy.com, enter the code RebelGrove at checkout, get 25% off all orders, including sale items. As they continue to grow, they want to extend a special thank you for the continued support of the Rebel Grove community. The folks at Dead Soxy are constantly striving to improve their quality, relationships, and customer experiences. As an MPW digital listener, you'll be the first to hear about all new products and opportunities as they come about. So remember to enter the promo code Rebel Grove at checkout for 25% off all orders. And Happy New Year from Dead Soxy. Walk-On's Sports Bistro puts everything they've got into bringing you game day with the taste of Louisiana. Dig into their mouth-watering, made-from-scratch Louisiana cuisine like po' boys, gumbo, voodoo shrimp, plus fan favorites like juicy burgers and fresh salads, all in front of 70-plus TVs, 40-plus ice-cold beers on tap. Also, let Walk-Ons take care of all of your tailgating needs as you start to think about next season. You can order online at walkons.com or on their convenient Walk-Ons app. Visit Walk-Ons today in Oxford or Ridgeland. The College Corner is your one-stop Rebel shop. 2 locations in the Jackson area. In Ridgeland, it's next to Fleet Feet. In Flowood, it's next to Half Shell. If you don't live in Jackson, just go to collegecornerstore.com. Plus, you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. They have the largest selection of Rebel gear in Central Mississippi. And we're brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Different names, same great products and services, same people. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, or the surrounding area, call Comer, 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call Southern, 662-429-4429. A-Stock Auctions is a Nashville-based online auction company with the mission to provide customers the power to name their price. All items at A-Stock start at just $1. That's right, every item starts at just $1. Shop now at astock.bid or download their app. Name your price on thousands of items from big-name retailers. A-Stock Auctions has multiple locations around Nashville that offer local pickups. So don't miss out. If you want it, bid it, win it.
Podcast is also brought to you by Johnston Hill Creamery, johnstonhillcreamery.com. They make all their cheeses locally and in-house every single day. As I've been telling you for a while, it is king cake season. Take advantage of that. You can go right there online. You can order it online. They have the minis. They have the larges. The mini feeds 1 to 2 people. The large 8 to 10. Their plain option is a cinnamon swirl. Other flavors include their house-made lemon curd. They have their pralines with candy pecans, blueberry cheesecake, and cheesecake as well. So whatever size and flavor it is there from a king cake standpoint for Johnston Hill Creamery you want, you can get it. Again, that's johnstonhillcreamery.com. 24 hours notice, and they'll take care of you. You want to call for more information or to order that way as well, 662-419-9201. one. Okay, look, here's the thing, though. And it's kind of going on what we always talk about of when if you do make a change or if you don't, just whatever it takes to improve the program. There has to be a systemic way to do that, and what does that actually mean in tangible ways to improve the thing? And the answer is money. The way to improve is to make a better product. Then fans show up because almost fans have proven they will show up to basketball games when they are competitive. They've done that across multiple eras. I mean, from AK to Kermit's first year to the late '90s that everybody talks about. I mean, all those different things. People showed up. There's no doubt about that. But in today's world, you're talking about NIL dollars because this is not commitment from even an administrative standpoint. I don't know, man. It's not about that. It's about NIL dollars and recruiting and a coach with a plan where you don't have misses. Not saying that's not shots at Kermit. That's that they went into the portal and they didn't get guys who have consistently played good basketball. So that was a failure in that way to this point. You've got to be efficient. You've got to hit. And where is the money coming from is kind of where I'm going with this, is that it is a choice if you're going to give money for NIL. And again, everybody can do whatever they want with their own discretionary income. I'm not telling you to give or not to give or do whatever you want to do. But the point is, most people will give to football instead of basketball. And where this does come into what you said, there's a lot of people that would rather give to baseball than basketball from an NIL standpoint. So what's going to be different? What's going to change? Because look, Kermit's a guy who, especially when he got here, was very involved in the community. He doesn't mind going and doing the rubber chicken circuit. He's much more apt to do that than AK was there at points when AK kind of gave up late in his tenure. So the point is here, it's got to come from somewhere. There's either got to be a coach that energizes the hell out of the fan base and that turns it, or there has to be a dedication that simply has not been there to this point.
The product on the floor's got to be better. People have lost. I'm not one to speak for fans. I can just look at message boards, our message board in particular. People don't believe in it anymore. They don't believe that winning is around the corner. His teams have a hard time scoring, and then you look around the country, and some of his former players who left here are scoring. Jarkel Joyner's playing well at NC State.
A lot of the portal guys have played well at other places.
Luis Rodriguez is playing well at UNLV. I still don't get that one. I always liked his game. This isn't a fair one to use, but Blake Hinson's playing really well at Pitt. That deal's different. I mean, there's a lot there, but
yeah, sure.
KJ Buffin's at UAB. You just look around and people don't get it, and it's fair. Well, they score 54 points.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just not scoring. You can't put the ball in the basket consistently. And then at State, you have a 7-point second-half lead. And from the last 12 minutes, you just kind of get mauled.
Yeah, look, it's roster construction right now. That's what it is. I mean, we can delve into a lot of other parts here, but it's roster construction. It's job to a point. I mean, I got a thread here. Jeremy says, confused by the dedication talk. Despite his failures, Kermit's recruited better than anyone in a long time. It's Kermit, not the job. He's had misses. There's no doubt about that. There's a lot of truth to that.
And everybody has misses.
But it's still a job that has not been to the NCAA tournament consistently ever, except for a period in the late 90s and early 2000s. That is what it is. And frankly, you're in an era where the Power 5 programs get more preferential treatment than ever before. I mean, that's one of those deals where if it was still an RPI league, Kermit wouldn't have made it in year one. And now he did. He gets credit. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying the way things have happened have changed over time.
As of today, the league would get 7 bids.
Yeah.
So half of the league would get a bid. And if you add Texas and Oklahoma, Texas would get a bid right now.
Yeah.
So it'd be half the league's getting bids. So you've got to finish in the upper half of the league. People say, literally, I'm looking at net ratings. Tennessee is 2, Alabama is 6, Arkansas is 16, Missouri's 32, Auburn's 33, Mississippi State's 40, and Kentucky's 44. They would all get in. And so half the league gets in. And if you're in a league where half the league gets in and you're not making it half the time, you're not succeeding.
And now here's the deal. My opinion only. I think when you want winning basketball, you want winning basketball because of fan morale more than anything else, even beyond money. Because I think from an attendance standpoint, Ole Miss is never selling out the pavilion every game. It's not happening for just logistical reasons. Frankly, hardly anybody in the league does. I mean, on midweek games, it's hard to get attendance at most places in the league, outside unless they're playing Kentucky or Alabama or some name big team. It just doesn't happen.
And there's a few programs that do, but no, it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, Ole Miss is not one of those. I guess is my point. I mean, Kentucky filling up Rupp on a Tuesday is a completely different animal,
right?
Than what we're talking about. When you want to win in basketball, it's because it's fan morale. It gets everybody energized in your entire athletic program. It bridges football. I mean, it does all these different things. You're on a national scale to some extent. You have people coming to message boards and social media and just getting up and talking to their friends, and it's, hey, if we win today, we make the tournament, we do something. There's an energy and there's a relationship that schools have with their fan base. And you need to win in the big three sports to move that throughout the calendar and keep that conversation going and keeping everybody built up. It's about that even more than money for me. It's just simply to be an all-around program to win at these sports, to keep everybody as up and going as they can for all different reasons. So yeah, it's not even really attendance based. It's just move the dial. Be competitive.
You watch Auburn the other night. I mean, the student section's packed. The arena's fun. It's a Saturday night. It's fun. That's it. Just 2 fun hours. It's fun for the students. The fans show up. It's fun. Like you said, it's a fun sport. It's built to be fun. It's 2 hours. Get out of the weather. Presumably it was chilly in Auburn on Saturday night. Get to go someplace, and then after that you go out or to the bars or home or wherever, and that's what you do. You look at Tuscaloosa on Saturday afternoon. That was fun. If you were an Alabama fan, that was a lot of fun Saturday afternoon.
I'm just trying to remove the games where you're playing Kentucky or even Alabama being a top 5
I am too.
team.
I mean, Missouri played Vanderbilt. It looked fun. Yeah. They packed it. They care about basketball there. They want to be good.
Yeah, that's been the weird part of Missouri coming into the league, is they were supposed to be a basketball program, and frankly, they've sucked. That was supposed to be one of the benefits to them sort of coming in, and that is.
And it might be fool's gold right now, but you watch them play, and I think they had a bunch of guys sick on Saturday that were kind of playing with the flu, and they won the game, and it was the place was packed for an 11 a.m. tip. So I don't know. I've covered Ole Miss basketball when the arena was full, and it was fun, and people enjoyed it. And what you see now is not fun, and we're approaching the point, like I said, and I'm always nervous to do this because I don't want it to sound like I'm calling for change. It's not my job. But I do think they're approaching the point where you have to start addressing, okay, well, here's what we're going to do to fix this.
I know nothing about the dynamics there, but is Cal coaching Kentucky next year?
I'd say it's starting to get iffy.
They are very mediocre.
Yes, they're a very average-looking team. I mean, like right now, Kentucky's 44. They'd be bubbly. Kentucky's not supposed to be on the bubble. And there, it's not acceptable.
They don't have a quad one win, I don't think.
No, it's not acceptable. And the way they got beat at Alabama the other day, they're not going to get many.
On Tuesday, South Carolina at Kentucky, Florida at LSU. Sort of interesting game. Vanderbilt at Tennessee, Auburn at Ole Miss. And then on Wednesday, Mississippi State at Georgia, Alabama at Arkansas, and Missouri at Texas A&M.
Couple good games.
So there's your
yeah. Like, I'll be curious to see what the crowd looks like at Texas A&M on Wednesday. I can tell you can't get a ticket to Bud Walton on Wednesday.
Oh, well, sure. Yeah,
you know, I mean so those are places where it's just, I don't know. We'll see. Everybody tells me I'm beating a dead horse. I don't really think I am. I just think it has to. I think you, as an institution, you have to just decide that it matters. It's not a bottom line thing. It's not a money thing. It's just hey, it matters. So we got to figure it out. Like if I were in the room, it'd be like, this is not acceptable. We have to figure this out. And it's not about a coach. Maybe it's about NIL. Maybe it's about whatever. But we got to figure it out because just being January the 9th and we're arguing whether people will be at the game. And look, I don't expect a big crowd tomorrow night. And frankly, I don't expect a big crowd Saturday afternoon. And when that doesn't happen, you got to.
No, Saturday's the one to look towards.
Someone's got to raise their hand and go, why are there not more people here? What else the hell are you doing on Saturday afternoon?
Well, appreciate you as always. Have for years. Says Happy New Year, guys. Thank you for all your hard work, candor, and not being much homers. What are your thoughts on Costa coming back as the kicker and then State's new coach and how he influences Ole Miss? Ole Miss got a great gift. They accomplished a lot with Jonathan Cruz last year. There's no reason to think Costa won't be what he was before the suspension. They should be set at kicker for the next few years there with him. They added Caden Davis to kick off. I assume Costa will only kick field goals, and then they should be fine. I don't know with Arnett. His staff stuff has been interesting to this point. Appears he's already been trying to weed out some sourcing stuff going on down there a little bit. He's getting away from the air raid in some points. He's trying to make it his program quickly in a sort of a weird environment to do so right now. I don't know. I don't know if there's any way to know. He doesn't have a lot of experience, still a young guy. We don't really even know what his footprint looks like as the head coach of a team or as the face of a program at this point. I don't anticipate him going full heel Mullen with the Ole Miss rivalry. That would be weird to me. I do wonder with some of those young guys, though, if they don't know enough to kind of not, and it starts getting that way simply because people sort of want you to.
Will there be pressure on him to
that's what I meant.
Go that route?
Yeah, I wonder a little bit if there's a middle ground that he ends up running into almost because he thinks it helps his Q rating. And again, I'm speculating. I don't know the guy at all. But
yeah, I don't either.
My gut is it's not going to stay as low key as it was with Leach and Kiffin together. Just my gut. My hunch is it goes back not to a Freeze Mullen circus, but just a little more.
As long
grabbing Ole Miss, trying to pull him with him a little bit.
Yeah, as long as Lane's at Ole Miss, I just don't think he's going to take that.
He doesn't
bait.
bite.
I don't think that bait's attractive to him at all. He wants the rivalries to be more Alabama, Texas A&M, as long as Jimbo's there. That kind of thing. I just don't sense that he gets worked up about State one way or the other. He's lost an Egg Bowl for the first time, so maybe that changes it a little bit.
Hardin says this money thing. There's a $96 million arena on campus that has a mortgage payment. It's hard to pay when it's empty. The problem with that is that there's just not a lot of difference from a money into the program standpoint. That doesn't pay for the arena. It's fan morale is the reason you make changes. Yeah. It's not monetary attendance reasons.
Again, if everything were just bottom line, you'd scrap everything but football. You just would run an NFL franchise. It's
which is why a lot of the stuff that people talk about is not possible,
right?
Because as we've made this example, the Bengals aren't having to pay for 9 soccer teams' payroll, and only from their revenue. It doesn't work that way.
They just run a professional sports organization. Yeah. So when people go, it's pro sports, except it's not.
Except it's not. On the basketball front, the women beat Texas A&M yesterday at Reed Arena there in College Station. I guess they are 4-0 in the league now. They have a road game next. Maybe it's Georgia. I looked at the schedule the other day, but nonetheless, they won a good many in a row now and are 4-0 as they close for a little bit and then routed the Aggies yesterday in College Station. As mentioned, yes, they do get South Carolina at home in a few weeks. South Carolina, the unquestioned number 1 team in the country, and women got scared in Starkville a little yesterday. They had a close game against State, but let's see. Yeah, I had it there. Sorry, I don't have more information, but I did see a good bit of that game yesterday. Any other college basketball thought before I move
on? No. Still a little early for to dive in on it. It's probably starts in a week or two where people start all the bubble talk. Bubble talk is what drives the month of February for college basketball. Seeding and bubbles and brackets.
Let the NFL playoffs get over and
then it goes full steam.
Yeah.
But even before that, you'll start to hear some talk about it. It's still 3 games in. There's still a lot of 2 weeks from now, you'll have more than a third of the conference schedule played. You'll start getting an idea where things shake. Look, there's a couple of teams. Kentucky's one of them that have big names, but kind of Arkansas is in this boat, right? I mean, they're 1-2 in the league, could easily be 0-3 in the league, and Nick Smith might not come back. They might be more of a bubble team than people think they are. We'll see.
Oh, you think they're a bubble team?
I don't know. They've lost 2 of their best players. I mean, you can see it. I mean, they in the preseason, in the pre-league play with Brazil, the Missouri transfer. I mean, they were scary. And when Smith was on the floor at the same time, they were really scary. But they don't have those 2 guys now.
Following up with the women's basketball thing, they've won 8 in a row at this point. They are 15-2 on the season. They are at Georgia on Thursday, and then Alabama at home on Sunday. What I find interesting about, and usually, again, I know very little about women's basketball in the SEC, but their schedule does not look complicated from the standpoint of they only play 2 games against ranked teams the rest of the season. I don't know if SEC basketball is down on the women's side. I don't know why more teams aren't ranked. Tennessee's not ranked. I thought Arkansas was playing well, but they're not ranked either. LSU in Baton Rouge and LSU's number 7. That's not a surprise. Kim Mulkey doing stuff down there. And then
she just wins.
Yeah, and then South Carolina at home, number 1. So, yeah, I mean, Ole Miss, when you run through their schedule, it's very likely they're favored in a good many of their games the rest of the way. So it's a big year for her to show you can win without Shakira Austin, and you move the program forward from.
I mean, I think she's proving that.
Yeah, there's no doubt on that point. Kind of has her identity. Their defense first, very athletic. So anyway, Georgia on Thursday in Athens, 6:00 start for that one. And speaking of, the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation is giving you the chance to give your support through the efforts on the court for men's and women's basketball, signing up for the Pledge Per Win campaign. You can do that by earning blue priority points through every donation, because you just give a certain amount per win for the Ole Miss men's and or women's basketball team. So to find out more on that, give to athletics.com/donate or call the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation at 662-915-7159. And they'd like to thank Rebel Nation for their incredible support in 2022. Your generosity, the Champions Now campaign's nearing the $52 million mark. Looking forward to an even bigger 2023. So again, for info on supporting Ole Miss Athletics, that's givetoathletics.com.
Solutions RX is a probiotic multivitamin supplement company created by Ole Miss Pharmacy alum Chris Cornelison. It's pharmaceutical grade, manufactured right here inside Mississippi. If you take diabetes medication, high blood pressure medication, cholesterol meds, you know those typically cause some side effects like muscle pain, brain fog, energy loss due to a depletion of minerals and vitamins in your body. But Chris formulated a product called Prescription Support, puts those vitamins back into your body, helps with those side effects, keeps you more compliant in taking your meds, and helps you stay healthier over the long term. They're available in local independent pharmacies across the continental U.S., including Mississippi, or you can just go to their website, solutionsrx.com. Enter the promo code OEP at checkout and get 10% off your first order. I mentioned my 10 Weekends Thoughts are up at rebelgrove.com. Those are brought to you by Game Changer Patches. They're the only 2-patch system available in the market to stop hangovers before they start. The warm-up patch used before or while you drink. The overtime patch used after you've been drinking to recover while you sleep. The all-natural ingredients will keep you in the game, ready for your next play. Go to GameChangerPatch.com, promo code RebelGrove20 at checkout for 20% off your purchase. Brought to you by ACS, Automation and Control Systems, LLC. It's a complete electrical control system solution provider, a Rockwell Automation recognized system integrator based in Baldwin, Mississippi. They've got a full-time dedicated emergency service and troubleshooting staff. They've also got a UL 508A panel shop and much, much more. To learn more, go to acsllcms.com or call 662-601-4381. We got Valentine's Day right around the corner. If you're doing some jewelry shopping, highly suggest that you go to Lammon's Fine Jewelry. Lammon's, 1126 North Lamar Boulevard in Oxford. It's been serving the Oxford area for the better part of 75 years. Engagement rings, wedding rings, fine jewelry, watches, pearls, fashion jewelry, children's jewelry, collectibles, and more. Lammon's is the gold standard in fine jewelry. Visit them at lammonsfinejewelry.com or call them at 662-234-2777. And we're brought to you by Pinnacle. Martin Palomo and I taped a Mind on My Money on Thursday. That's up where you listen to podcasts here on our channel. Pinnacle based in Madison, Mississippi, but they've got clients in more than 20 states, advisors in multiple states. They provide detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much, much more. To learn more, go to mypinwealth.com. That's MYPINN wealth.com.
Podcast also brought to you by Northeast Spark, NESPARC, service people across rural communities. 2 packages, the Ignite, the 100 Mbps, or the Blaze, the 1 gig that powers the Clark Ford studio. Your hometown team bringing you world-class broadband. That's nespark.com. 662-238-3159. Phone service, port controls, network security, a wireless mesh extender for those who need that extra help, and more. So again, whether you're in Lafayette, Pontotoc, or the Union counties, 662-238-3159. NFL playoffs set, the regular season finishing up yesterday with the Lions knocking out the Packers last night in a game after they had already been eliminated because the Seahawks beat the Rams in overtime yesterday, and then the Jacksonville Jaguars beating the Titans in a winner-gets-in game yesterday as well. So
the Detroit Lions are pissed at Jalen Ramsey today.
Yeah, I mean,
like living.
And a team, the Lions had played really damn well. I mean, a team that could have been fairly scary in the playoffs. I mean, could have given some trouble. I mean, for all the career knocks, Jared Goff had a really nice season.
He did. He had a really good season.
Yeah.
They had a bad start, and then they got rolling.
Who's your coach of the year?
Ooh.
I'll give you an NFC and an AFC one.
Okay.
Are we doing the best team thing with the Eagles, or are you picking one of the...
No, I mean...
Giants, Brian Daboll?
Yeah. I
think against the 6?
I think Daboll probably is your AFC coach of the year. NFC.
I think I'm going NFC.
I mean, NFC.
I think an NFC, as crazy as it sounds, because of the quarterback shuffle, I think I'm going with the 49ers getting the 2 seed and giving it to Shanahan.
Yeah. I can't argue with that. Even the guy at Minnesota getting the 3.
Because they aren't that good, and they got the damn 3.
Yeah.
I mean, they put it together.
Andy Reid.
Ooh.
I mean, it's
a loaded conference.
A lot of people
you got the 1.
And by the way, if you're the Bengals, you're pissed.
You're pissed.
You're pissed. Look, I don't know why the league screwed Cincinnati, but they screwed them. What did Cincinnati do wrong? They were just on the field when that.
But what do you
when
do?
That happened? I don't know, but you don't do this.
Yeah.
If I'm the Bengals, I'm like, wait a minute. Literally, if you let us finish that game, if you're them, if you let us finish that game and we win the game, we get Buffalo at home.
Yeah. I
don't know.
I don't know what you do. Because
that's going to be an interest if it happens, and they're on course to play each other in Buffalo in the divisional playoff round.
Because we hadn't got to that part yet, but Cincinnati spent the last part of the week, basically after we knew DeMar Hamlin was going to be okay, pissed about the Ravens thing. And now they won the game. It didn't matter. But
Joe Mixon will have no trouble raising the $10,000 to pay that fine.
Oh, yeah, whatever. Yeah. Has he been a decent soldier since he was the despicable college player hit the woman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I don't follow him as much.
Been fine. I don't think he's caused any issues there.
Yeah. So in the NFC, the Eagles do get that bye, the number 1 seed. They will play again. I know everybody knows this, but just as a reminder, the NFL reseeds. You play the lowest seed, so there is no set bracket in the NFL. Your first game of the weekend, Saturday at 4:30. The Seattle Seahawks face the San Francisco 49ers in an NFC West game, 2-7 there in San Francisco. On Sunday, the New York Giants, the 6th seed, travel to Minnesota, play the 3 seed Vikings. That is a 3:30 start on Fox on Sunday. And
what's the Saturday night game?
I guess it's an AFC game. We'll get there in a second.
Okay.
And then on Monday, the Cowboys and the Buccaneers, 5-4 game in Tampa Bay. Huge game for Dak Prescott. Just huge. Just one you have to win if you have any ability to have that conversation.
One that, if you lose,
the Buccaneers are not good.
If you lose it, frankly, it's if you're the Cowboys have to have the meeting that goes, hey, this is never going to happen.
This is an indictment game on Dak if he doesn't
for
win.
sure.
And if he wins, that bracket's not bad. You kind of start moving
they go to Philly.
a little bit. Maybe not. I mean, Seahawks could. Giants, I mean.
It's conceivable.
I don't think the 49ers lose to the Seahawks.
I don't
If you
either.
told me the Giants shocked Minnesota, and now look, I've been the Minnesota guy all year. I think they're better than they get credit for being, but I can see them lose that football game. I want them to lose that football game. Sorry, let me put it that way.
Well,
I'd like the Giants to win the game.
The Giants basically gave themselves a bye week. They were the 6th seed no matter what, and so they just didn't show yesterday. Rested everybody. They'll be fresh.
And then in the AFC, your Sunday noon game is the Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills. In that 7-2 game, Miami does sneak in yesterday as the
It's got blowout written all over it.
It does. That doesn't feel like one that's gettable. And then, as you mentioned, the Sunday night game is the rematch from yesterday, the 6 seed Baltimore Ravens at the 3 seed Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday night.
It's a scary spot for Cincinnati. They had a couple of injuries yesterday that were big. Perhaps lost another offensive lineman,
which is not the area they need.
No, they looked distracted. They'd had a weird week, and it showed. Still got it done. Baltimore didn't play anybody. They'll play the running back. Dobbins will come back. He'll play this week. Andrews, the tight end, will play this week. I presume Huntley will be their quarterback. It doesn't sound like Lamar Jackson's anywhere close to coming back. And if he does, he hasn't played in so long that I don't know how good he'd be.
I mean, I expect the Bengals to win the football game, obviously,
but they're kind of beat up. Now, look, they're about to flip the script to pissed off. And who knows?
Yeah, sure. They were pissed off yesterday.
They were, but if you believe the stories that were written out of there, and the writers are strong, I've followed that team pretty closely the last couple of years. They actually were being told by the NFL on Monday night that, hey, we might finish this game tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
They were floored when the Bills left on an airplane. And even then, we're being told, hey, we might bring them back and play Thursday night. And I think internally on Tuesday, early Wednesday, people close to it knew that Damar Hamlin was going to be okay.
Right.
And once the prospect of a tragedy was off the table, thank God, the shift did kind of turn back to football.
Yeah, of course.
And Cincinnati's like, no, wait a minute. We're getting punished here. We didn't do anything. What did we do? It's more than a fair question.
But you can't play 3.5 quarters on Thursday and play on Sunday.
No.
I mean, it's just not logistically feasible.
So they could have shifted the schedule back a week. They could have. All that gets protected is the Pro Bowl skills challenge thing in Vegas.
Yeah.
Which all of 4 people will watch.
Yeah. Then a young quarterback matchup on Saturday night, 7 o'clock start. It is the 5 seed Los Angeles Chargers against the 4 seed Jacksonville Jaguars.
Of all the games, that's the one I'm kind of most interested in.
Interesting.
Yeah,
of the games.
I'm in.
Chiefs, the 1 seed, obviously, as previously mentioned.
Yep.
Look,
AFC's wide open now.
It is. There will be 1 or 2 upsets in that side that throws it all off. Because if you told me, I mean, the Chargers or the Jags could win that game.
Oh, and either one of those teams could give Kansas City a scare.
Yeah, sure. Look, not really a hot take. Because I admit it's probably me. The Saints were bad this year. I watched them, but I'd had very little interest after week 3 or 4 from an emotional standpoint. You knew that even if they won that vagabond NFC South, it didn't really matter, and they weren't going to go on some run. They got to figure out what to do with Kamara. They got to figure out what to do with Michael Thomas. They've got a quarterback issue. There's
a lot there.
They're trying to trade Sean Payton potentially right now. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Well, they should if they can get a first round.
Well, yeah, 100%. Yeah. Now, this means nothing, but he told the TV show yesterday that he is on that he's a 7 out of 10 coming back next year. But the Broncos have asked to talk to him. A couple of their teams would definitely talk to him should that be an option there.
Sure.
It's a weird part of the NFL, though, because if multiple teams and he okays them, the team gets to then pick where he goes for what picks or for what trade. It's a strange dynamic a little bit.
Yeah.
From a coach standpoint. I say all that to say this is the least interesting I found the NFL ever.
Really?
Not even close. And again, it could be me. I'm not saying, oh God, the king is falling. And if it's falling, it's 100 to 98.5. I understand that. But there's something about the league that I just sort of raise my nose a little bit and go, have we hit the top of the bell curve? Is all I'm saying.
I'm in the exact opposite boat.
And again, I understand why. There's nothing they've done where I go, oh, they're being idiots, because they are not idiots. They run an organization, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But they are starting for the first time to get so deep into protection mode on penalties and things that it's affecting the way the game looks. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it's affecting the way it looks. They are being more evident with makeup calls than ever before.
For sure.
Which makes you look even dumber. I mean, it's even worse. I'm not saying it's a bad product. That's not my point. Everybody goes, it's you. I get it. There's just something that goes, it's not as aesthetically pleasing and interesting as it was 5 years ago. And I don't think it's just the Saint sucking. I think there's something there where it's.
But you're really into the college game more than you even were a few years ago. You watch a lot of college football.
Watched 2 bowl games.
Yeah, I mean, I went to 2. And other than that, I'm not sure I watched one other than the Ole Miss game.
No, it's healthy. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying relative to whatever. And maybe it's sports overall. Maybe I have less of an interest in watching sports than ever before.
And that's a natural thing as you get older.
Maybe that's it.
I don't watch as much sports as I did even 24 months ago.
I mean, I used to watch golf every week, every single week. And I turned on the Tournament of Champions last night in Hawaii and watched the end of it because Colin Morikawa was having a meltdown and I was curious. And I get they're out of season, but it's the first golf I've even turned on in months. Like I had not even watched it at all.
This year with the NFL, I mean, look, the 2 teams that I follow, the Bears and the Bengals, were both interesting in completely different ways. The Bengals are good, started poorly, and then got hot. And so they were fun to watch. And they've got all these personalities that are fun to watch. And then the Bears, who now have a potentially transformative pick that they can utilize because of the Texans winning.
What the hell were they doing?
I
mean, they did at least fire the coach right after, which makes sense.
Who once coached the Bears? It was quite comical.
Yeah. Super Bowl.
But the Bears were interesting because they're building around this young quarterback that early in the year I thought, kid, man, he can't do it. And by the middle of the year, I was like, maybe he can. And it appears that they're going to build around Justin Fields. And so they have the first pick, which presumably they will now have 3 months of what will the Bears do, which will be a storyline. And it's interesting because the Bears have every option in the world on the table, including trading down. If I'm them, I'm telling Houston, we're going to take Bryce Young and make Houston go, we just can't run the risk that they don't, and trade down to 2 and then make Houston pay for going for 2 and getting it. But I guess I'm in the opposite boat. I watched so much NFL this year that I found it pretty compelling. I mean, I agree with you about some of the stuff with the calls, though I don't. I think the sport of football is more tenuous.
It is.
Than maybe a lot of other people do.
Because it's trickle up. I mean, somebody said, hey, college football's at the top of the bell curve. Maybe that's 100% true. And if so, that does affect the NFL product eventually. I mean, that's the way that works.
It's the thing that we don't talk about because it's not good for our business. The sport is at its core has a disease. And that trickles up.
Yeah, sure.
And it will inevitably trickle up. And that's going to take time, a lot of time.
Yeah, sure.
And they've got time to fix it. But the only way to fix it is you got to protect players.
But you have to be better at deciphering what's actually protecting.
Right,
is the problem. I mean, that Steelers roughing the passer yesterday. Jesus.
Right.
He grabbed him, wrapped him up, and rolled him over. And they said, it fell on him. Oh, my God. What do you mean to do?
Right.
That's the calls I hate is the what do you want the guy to do call. where he takes every precaution and you still flag him.
And the
it's
NFL's answers, what we would really like is for no one to ever touch a quarterback, please. Thank you. Because NFL games, when the quarterback play is not good, because everybody else is so good, it becomes kind of unwatchable. And that might be part of what happened with you and the Saints, because the Saints quarterback play was so bad that it makes the sport not as fun.
Sure.
As opposed to when there's a Josh Allen out there, or when there's a
I have no problem with
Jalen Hurts.
I have no problem with the rules that benefit the offense, and let's get yards and points and go play arena football. I got no issue. And I know it came back this year, but
it did.
Came back on the college level too. I saw a stat where it's like 5 years in a row that the leading pass efficiency quarterback had broken the NCAA record. And C.J. Stroud led the country this year, and it was way back of the record. I mean, nowhere close. Quarterback efficiency was way down in college football at the elite level, I guess, put it that way. The good players were not as efficient in the past as the good players had been, for whatever that's.
Some of it is defensive line play is so good right now.
Yeah.
So many guys, and defenses have found so many ways to get to the quarterback. And any quarterback, I don't care how good he is, under duress is not as good as he is with a clean pocket. I mean, that league is, look at who's in the playoffs. With maybe an exception or two, it's all about quarterback play.
All quarterback play. Well, I mean, even the Dolphins getting in. I mean, Tua was an elite quarterback for half the season.
Yeah.
They built up some cushion and then held on late. I mean, the Seahawks are the only team with not a – the Seahawks and 49ers, I guess the two teams without name quarterbacks, if you will. And Purdy has played fantastic football.
Yeah, and Geno Smith was pretty good most of the season.
He was. And I get the Ravens have been like Lamar and all that, but still, for the most part.
Well, the Ravens have an elite defense.
They do.
I mean, it's really
which can muddy up a game, and
it does. It muddies up games.
It makes it kind of complicated there.
Sure.
So, podcast brought to you in part by G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area. They offer MedSync for your prescriptions the same day each month. Take care of you. One trip to the pharmacy, one delivery, and you have everything you need when you need it with G&M. They also can take care of transferring your medications. If you're from a big box pharmacy, all you do is make one call. They will take care of the rest. So that's Tyson Drugs in Holly Springs or G&M in Oxford, 662-236-2222.
Brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. He's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners. Allows John to supply his clients with added values, unique benefits simply not available to other travelers. Just get in touch with John. Give him a budget. Give him some options. Give him some parameters, and he'll take care of the rest. He'll help you have a trip that creates a lifetime of unique memories. 901-494-3387. Or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. We're brought to you by Opa, Oxford's newest Greek restaurant on the square. Perfect place for you to, if you're coming into town, stop by, enjoy their menu, their craft libations as well. It's Opa on the square in Oxford. I'll have a mailbag up on Wednesday that's brought to you by Whitney McNutt of Tommy Morgan Incorporated Realtors, serving you for all your real estate needs in Oxford and Tupelo. Whitney sells condos, land, commercial, and residential family homes. You can reach her at 662-567-2573 or 662-842-3844. We'll have our picks for the NFL playoffs up later this week. They're brought to you by Service Specialist Staffing and Recruiting Agency, connecting great job opportunities to candidates since 1967. If you're on the job hunt, they've got opportunities across the board from entry level all the way up to seasoned professional. And if your company is looking to hire quality, hard to find talent, they can help you as well. It's always free to the client. Keep in mind, payment of service is solely contingent on a company if you decide to hire a candidate that they send. You've got nothing to lose, so give Will, Sydney, or Kelsey a call at 662-832-5138 or check out their new and improved website at servicespecialistltd.com. Don't just accept what you see, but imagine something new. Step forward, chase after a better version of yourself. Every day, Corinth Dental's helping people reinvent themselves one smile at a time. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures including Invisalign. These clear aligners are the virtually invisible way to improve your smile. So call Corinth Dental today for a no-cost digital scan of your teeth. Let them show you the way to a straighter, healthier smile. 12 months, no interest, no down payment financing is available at corinthdental.com. And are you a displaced corporate executive or wanting to put your career in your own hands? Are you an experienced entrepreneur wanting to diversify? If you are, Andy Ledecky can help. He's a longtime Rivals board member, a diehard college football fan, and a franchise veteran. He owns multiple franchises and businesses and uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. So call Andy, put your life and career in your own hands. It's 100% free. You got nothing to lose. Find your perfect franchise at myperfectfranchise.net or contact Andy anytime at andy@myperfectfranchise.net or give him a call at 404-973-9901.
I saw the stats from one of the beat writers. The Saints actually finished with the number 6 defense in the NFL this year.
Yeah, they were good on defense.
Yeah, 22 and on offense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's higher than I would have anticipated if you were.
Yeah, I
like
would have.
29th in turnovers.
Yeah, I would have guessed their offense was lower than that.
Yeah. Bruce Feldman with a story today saying Georgia's ranked 18th in yards per play allowed this season. First time it's been ranked outside the top 10 since 2018. They've allowed over 1,000 yards in its last 2 games with 850 coming through the air, 71 points. Should they be concerned tonight against TCU? Although the way he kind of teases it, I think he's going to tell you that they're better than we think they are. I haven't read the story, but that was the way I sort of took that. So,
if Georgia wins, that's 3 title appearances since, 18-19?
Yeah.
2 titles.
And another second that was
skin
of teeth.
I mean, what's Bennett Steele? This is his last game?
Yeah.
Who's their quarterback next year?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Does it matter?
I mean, as talented as they are everywhere, probably not. Everyone will come out with their – I saw where Marcelo had his incredibly too early
top 25.
I think he did top 30.
Okay.
And what's funny is he admits up front, this is ridiculously too early. I'm just doing it. And people just assault. It's like he said it was too stupid. Stop.
Yeah. We don't know who's on any team.
Not a lot of teams. I mean, some teams you do, but
sure.
Like the one we cover, we don't. I mean,
I got nothing.
We
avoided. I didn't avoid it. We didn't talk about the weekend today for a reason. Nothing necessarily happened. That's why. So
yeah, I don't know.
If there are news, then we will talk about news.
The kid that was here from Purdue went out of the portal and back to Purdue.
Yeah.
Does that mean Ole Miss didn't offer him? I don't know.
I don't know what's going to happen with Spencer Sanders or Mike Wright. No clue.
Wright was there on Friday. I will tell you this, and I wrote about this, but it makes for a little interesting conversation. These portal visits, most of the people who are asking, like, hey, find out where they went, what did they have fun and all that stuff, most of the people are joking and making fun of stuff that's happened in the past. The portal visits aren't like that, with rare exception. They're more 24 hours than they are 48. There's no players on campus to host right now. And so it's just business. You go to the building, you meet with the coaches, you watch some film, you talk about your role.
What is the depth chart? What is the money? What's the situation? Cool, thanks.
And then it's like an NFL free agent visit, which is about 24 hours. They show up the night before, the club takes them to dinner, they talk. Next day they come into the building. At some point, they go, here's what we're offering you. If you leave the building without taking it, the offer might not be there because we're bringing in this guy tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
If you take it, you can take it today, and it's good. It's kind of like that. Like the wide receiver from Oklahoma State, whose name escapes me right now, who came in on a visit. He'd been to Auburn right before he got to Ole Miss, and he left Ole Miss to go to Wisconsin. So it's like boom, boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
He's not spending 48 hours at all three of those places. In fact, I don't think he spent a full 24 at any of them.
Just get in, get out.
Get in, have your meeting, have a meal, have a conversation. Here's the offer, figure it out. And
I'll let you know.
And at some point,
he'll make a decision. Yeah. And everything's changed.
They've got more guys coming in this week. They'll have some guys coming in this weekend, but it's just not the people that have a lot of angst about it. I've decided, and it's interesting because Greg Sankey yesterday came out pretty publicly with
wanted major changes to the
basically
calendar.
Is saying what the coaches are saying privately, which is this doesn't work. This doesn't work.
Yeah, sure.
People push back on it because coaches make a lot of money. And to some degree, I understand that. But the coaches are saying this just doesn't work. It's not healthy. We're having to make
some of the staffers that have the worst hours in this make no money.
Yeah.
They're getting just
the people that are running
killed.
These recruiting operations don't make jack.
And they're getting
and they have no life.
Yeah.
They're working 21, 22-hour days.
Yeah. Sankey saying it you have to at least put a pin in it and go, oh.
Yesterday, Kirby Smart said it.
Yeah.
I mean, Kirby said, this is not the business that I got into.
And you don't think Kirby's coaching in 5 years?
I don't. I do not.
Yeah.
Especially if he wins one or two more.
Sure.
If he wins tonight.
The clock at least potentially starts. You
know, Kirby talked about yesterday, his parents aren't there. His dad's not doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you from talking to people who know them that Kirby Smart at no point looked at Matt Luke and said, you're crazy. Kind of thought.
Might be onto something.
You're probably onto something. So, you know, but I do think there's a lot of people that, and from our business standpoint, we would be better suited with it going back to the first Wednesday in February. I think there are people that miss the season that was
100%.
recruiting
100%.
season, you know, which was the games, your rivalry game ended on Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving or the Saturday
find out about your
after
bowl, you do
Thanksgiving.
bowl practice, and as bowl practice is starting, you get the recruiting season that runs through January.
You get a December recruiting season, then you take a break for the holidays.
Then you get the big January.
And then the convention comes, and as soon as the convention's over, you have this mad rush to the first Wednesday in February.
Yeah.
And I think the fans...
We would do full segments on, hey, this guy set up his visits this way. That's good because you want this visit, not this visit. You want the last visit, but hey, you got to show up, and you're doing the whole rigmarole.
And then this whole, did they make it on Friday and all that stuff? And those weekends are kind of over now. They don't
car trouble.
They don't exist. And so I think people are... The people that loved that...
Oh, it's
I think they've lost...
It's impactful.
They've lost that. And so they get kind of angry about it.
Is Aaron Rodgers done? Or is he done in Green Bay?
Well, he's got him a new girlfriend in Wisconsin.
Okay.
Her dad owns the Bucks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's the rumor.
Okay.
That they're more than friends.
Okay.
Stands to reason.
Sure.
I'd guess he's not done. He probably thinks he's done, but in 2 or 3 weeks.
Give him a minute to...
He'll probably want to come back now.
I mean, we're reading a lot into him not giving a jersey away last night.
Because it was his last one?
A player from the Lions asked to swap jerseys with him last night, and he goes, hey, I'm going to keep this one.
Interesting.
I mean, that's...
Here's their thing, is they're in a division where Minnesota's on the rise. We talked about Detroit earlier. I mean, if you're putting stock into a team right now, you probably put a little stock in the Lions right now.
Had he made the playoffs, he would have been very much a Coach of the Year candidate.
And the Bears are going to get better.
They're at least incredibly interesting because of what they have available to try to get their team ready.
They're going to be better.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're going to be a playoff team, but they're going to be better.
It's relative. They were not bad compared to most first pick bad.
Right.
They were okay.
And they'll be better next season.
Yeah.
And they've got a ton of money in the free agency thing if they decide to get
it's millions. I mean, just
if they want to get it,
if
they decide to get active, they can this offseason.
Yeah, I saw that somewhere yesterday. It is a ton of money.
So, you know, they could really upgrade and probably will be a better team. Would they win 4 games this year? Is that what they was? They 4-13?
I don't even know.
They'll probably add 3 to 4 wins to their total.
They have this is per Courtney Cronin, who covers the Bears now for ESPN. She says they have over $108 million in cap space for next season.
Just a ton. They can do a lot.
Yeah.
So, is Green Bay a Super Bowl contender next year as currently constructed? The answer is no.
No.
If I'm him and I want to play, I'm going elsewhere, or I'm walking away with my health.
Last thing. What's going to happen with Carlos Correa?
I mean, I still think they work some deal out with the Mets, but
the money comes down and you figure out where the liability.
I think this is where Correa won't budge. He's like, we can put new language in the deal, but the deal has to stay the same. And that's where Steve Cohen might just go, you know what, we're going to walk away. And here's the thing, Cohen, it doesn't really matter to a lot of people, but I think Cohen, I've heard this from some baseball people. Cohen going over that magic, was it 300 million, 400 million number, pissed off a lot of his colleagues in baseball.
Yeah.
And maybe by walking it back, it might chill some of that.
You think he cares?
He might a little. There was real pushback inside the industry about, hey, what are you doing? And they're still really good, even without Carlos Correa, and it lets them set up to go after Manny Machado next year.
That's true.
And then if Correa is a free agent again, I mean, now you have 2 teams that have flagged this.
Yeah, at some point.
Again,
if it's something,
I don't know what he does.
If it's something that's debilitating, if nothing else, you can't put him on a long-term deal. And you go, I can't pay you whatever million in 6 years. I don't know if you're going to have a leg or back or whatever it is.
So what does he do? Does he go to one of these teams that offer him, hey, we'll give you $40 million a year, but we're just going to do a 3-year deal?
I mean, if I'm him and I believe in myself, I'd rather have the 3-year 40 over the 8-year for 22.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. I don't know. It's suddenly become really fascinating to me as time has gone on.
Well, yeah. Well, when Cohen says, hey, we might walk away, and then, look, he could sue. Because Cohen did the one thing that baseball always tells their owners and GMs not to do. Don't comment on something until the physical.
Yeah.
And it's not because we don't
and he
want.
Was so excited, and he called the guy at the post, and there it went.
And it was a mistake.
Yeah.
And then the physical gets flagged. And if you're one of the teams that were kind of on the periphery with him, I mean, I question now, like if you're the Twins, for example, and you've had him, you know he's good, but 2 teams have flagged as physicals. Don't you want to do a physical too, and you want to take a good hard look at it? And then what happens if your guys go, I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
Here's another story. Are you surprised that Trevor Bauer, it sounds like, is never going to pitch in the major leagues again?
I saw the article, and I was going to bring it up, and I hadn't read it, so I was holding it just because I was not as up to date on it as I felt like I needed to be to have the conversation.
Yeah, read it.
Okay.
And we'll talk about it tomorrow or Wednesday or whatever. Yeah. It is a fascinating story because Trevor Bauer is available. He's a guy that won a Cy Young recently.
Yeah.
Is available for the major league minimum to any team right now because the Dodgers are on the hook for his contract.
Sure.
He's available for $700,000. Trevor Bauer.
The number of people making $700,000 or more is everyone. So
it's the minimum.
Yeah, literally.
He's available to you for the major league minimum. Like the Cubs, for example, just signed Eric Hosmer. And the Red Sox are on the hook for the deal. Yeah. Actually, the Padres are on the hook for the deal.
Okay.
The Cubs got him $700,000, and the justification was, well, if he sucks, we'll just cut him. It's the minimum.
Yeah.
It's Trevor Bauer. There are no criminal charges.
Somebody's going to take.
But everybody around baseball goes, it's not going to happen. No one's going to take him.
It's hard to believe.
I just can't. It's just fascinating.
I can't get there mentally.
It's fascinating to me. I mean, there are other people in Major League Baseball who have domestic violence issues who are employed today.
Yeah. Your closer had one when he won the title a few years ago.
So the question I have, tease it for down the road.
Sure. We'll talk about it tomorrow. We're not talking about Georgia
If
for an
Trevor
hour and a half.
Bauer had not fought MLB as hard as he did, and if Trevor Bauer were a little different with his political beliefs, would this be a problem for him?
Yeah, I think both are relevant. We'll hit both of them over the course of tomorrow. Again, tonight, apparently 6:30. Do that unless there's an announcement today. We'll talk about maybe Sean McVay stepping down. There's a lot of talk about that. See what that's going on.
I think he will, by the way.
It's where I'm leaning a little bit if you told me to guess. Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at too. So that and more coming up on tomorrow's show, rebelgrove.com. In the meantime, should some news come up. And then last college football game of the season, Georgia TCU tonight, ESPN family of networks, if you will, depending on how you want to watch it. 6:30 there from Inglewood. So have a good day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.